Well, good day, dudes. I've been contacted by Sean and he's asked me to put together a little video on how I use the Windy app. The Windy app is the main app that I use for my trip planning, and I've glossed over it a little bit in some of the other vids. Have a look up in this corner. Um, but I'm just going to go into how I use Windy in a little bit more depth. And I'm going to do it on the computer screen that I do my editing on. I can take a video off that, so I'll just run through it and be doing a little bit of audio in the background. So sit back, have a look, and yeah, hopefully you learn something about how to use the Windy app. So let's have a look at the Windy app. If I open the main page, you can see I've got a chart there. I can scroll in and out of the chart, so I can zoom in and out just using the wheel on my mouse. On my charts I've got isobars shown, but I can actually turn them off if we go to the menu, and down the bottom here it's got isolines of pressure. I can turn them on and off. So I might just turn them off for now. That I usually leave them on, but I can turn them off, and it unclutters the chart a bit. So the first thing to go to is the settings. So if we go up to the menu up here, the hamburger menu, have a look at settings, and you can set the settings up to suit yourself and the country you're in, what units of measurement you use. So wind I've got in knots, temperature in Celsius. You can change that to Fahrenheit if you want. Rain in millimetres, waves in metres. So you set that up to suit what you understand and the country that you live in. We can go through that. There's some settings down the bottom here, so you can see that you've got the animation of the wind. It's either normal, high, or intensive. I leave it on normal. I think it works for what I'm doing most of the time. I work in 24-hour format. There's a lot of other settings there you can go through and just change the parameters and work out what you want for your particular setup on Windy. Now, down the side of the screen here, if I shut that hamburger menu, you can see that down the side of the screen I've got these little icons, and you can set them up. If I go back to the hamburger menu, and these are all the parameters you can put, all of the different windows that you can look at in Windy. So I've got the wind window up now. I can look at wind gusts. There'll be a different window. I can look at thunderstorm window. I can look at a swell window. I can look at a wave window. So this is giving me different information with every window I'm looking at. There's even one down here for currents, so you can look at ocean currents as well. And I can scroll in and out of that and get more detail. So I can move the map around, scroll in, you can see what the ocean currents are doing, or I could go back up to the wind menu and see what the wind is doing. But to have these on the side of your screen, so when I shut this menu, I've got these down the side of my screen. Now I'm not sure whether you can do this if you're not subscribed. I'm subscribed to Windy. If you look up the top here, you can see that I'm a premium member. This means I've paid, I think it's about $30 a year to use Windy. I think if you're using it to trip plan and to get your weather, it's really worthwhile subscribing, because it makes for a bit more functionality, and there's other things you can do with the subscription. But I'm not sure if you can set this up if you're not subscribed. You may not be able to. You might have to go to this menu here and pick out what you want to look at without having these icons down the side of your chart. If you want to change any of those icons, all you do is go up to, where is it? It's here somewhere, arrange layers. when I do that, you can see they're all wiggling around, so I can put layers in. I could put the dew point in here, so I just drag it over and put it in. I could put humidity in again. I've got to drag it in. When you drag it in, you've got to drag it in between what's already there. So I've got humidity and dew point. If I turn that off, now I've got all of these icons down the side of the screen. Now I don't want to leave humidity and dew point in, so I'm just going to delete them. So I'll get rid of both of those. I don't want to clutter it too much, so what I have got there is wind, wind gusts, waves, swell, swell number 2, currents, weather radar, rain and thunder, satellite picture if I need it. I don't use that much. Thunderstorms, and I can put other stuff in there. There's another button down here called altitude. If you click that, just set it at surface, because we're only really interested in what the surface is doing. This program is applicable to people flying airplanes as well, so you might want to set that at some sort of altitude. And you can see what the wind's doing at different altitudes if you scroll through that. But for what we're doing on the water, really we just want the surface altitude is what we're going to deal with. Okay, so if you want to find where you are on the chart, there's a couple of ways. If you know where you are, I can just left click on the map, and that'll put a flag there, and you can see that where that point is here, there's 14 knots of wind blowing from the east. Now if you're in a location like that, you can click this little play button here, and that's going to take the animation into the future. So from where we are now, you can see that scrolling across, and as it scrolls, you're going to see how the weather's going to change over the next week. So you can see the wind is changing direction a bit. You can see it's changing strength a bit, and it's a pretty good one to look at to just see how the weather is going to change over the next few days. You can see it's gone round to the south there on Sunday, and it's probably going to blow that way for quite some time. If you didn't want to do it like that, I can grab this bar and just drag it across, fast forward it a bit, and you can see that on Tuesday we're back to an easterly stream, so it's blowing from the east at 14 knots. On Wednesday, it's gone around to the northeast at 12 knots. Thursday, down to 7 knots, so we're going to get some good weather Thursday. Friday, it's still out of the east, so you can plan. If we were looking at going out, say, to Great Keppel Island, we're in Yeppoon at the moment. If we're looking at going out to the island, by using this, I can say, well, on, say, Thursday and Friday, Thursday I'm going to have to find a bit of shelter out of a northeasterly wind, so you'd probably be around on Long Beach on Great Keppel Island. But by the time Friday comes, you can see the wind's gone around and we've got an easterly blowing now, so I'd want to be right where that marker is, probably at Fisherman's Beach, and that'll get you out of the southeaster. So you're in under the land, and you get good sheltering close to the land there and be out of that wind. So that's how we use it. But by scrolling this up and down, you can actually see how the prognosis is going to change over time. And the colour chart here shows you the wind strength. So very light wind in here, 5 knots, 0 to 5. But as you move out to sea, the greener areas 10 to 20, and then the red areas, the ones we don't really want. I don't know if there's any in this period, but even the orange that you see coming in there is up over 20 knots. So they're the colours that you should be aware of. What we're looking for is the lighter colours and the lighter winds, of course. I can get some more information by hitting this little down arrow, and that'll bring the forecast up for the next week. So at that position right there, this is going to be the forecast for the week. Now what you've got there is the weather. So it's going to be sunny, cloudy, rainy, whatever. You've got day and night, of course. Down here you've got the temperature. And then these are the ones we're pretty interested in. You've got the wind speed and the wind gust speed. So this will be the wind speed. You can see at the moment the wind speed at this position is around about 14 knots with gusts up to, I think it's 22. Bit hard to read that, but yeah. But so the top one is the wind speed and the bottom one is the wind gusts. The one down the bottom with the arrows is the wind direction. So arrows heading to the south is a northerly wind. Arrows heading from the south, of course, is a southerly wind. So that's the way the wind's blowing. But you can see on the chart the way that the wind is blowing as well. You can see by just looking at the animation which way the wind is blowing. Now you could look at waves on that chart as well. So if we go to the waves icon and click that, you can see that in this area here, the waves are coming from the south. You can see the waves coming from this area. If I click that there now, you can see that the waves at this point here are 1.7 metres, a period of 8 seconds. If I moved out to this position here, that moves the flag, and the waves out further are 2 metres, with a period of 10 seconds. So that's how you can use, find what the waves are doing, what the wind's doing in different areas on the chart. Now if you want to find a particular place, you can go up to the search location box, click on that. I've got a couple in there. You can type in a location and find it on the weather map. I'm just going to click up Great Keppel because I'm at Yeppoon at the moment, so this is going to bring us up, and I'm just scrolling in to have a look at the weather at Great Keppel. So this is Great Keppel Island. I'm actually at Yeppoon at the moment, so we could actually move that across to here. And then down the bottom here, you've got all the weather for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We can go further across, and if we drag it back this way, we can even go up to Saturday the 5th of October. So it's giving a forecast right up to there. You can shut that down if you want, or open that up. But that's giving you a forecast right up till Sunday the 5th of October. That's a long way into the future. I'd say the forecast, it can change a little bit that far along, but I'd say the forecast from where we are now on Saturday to next Thursday would be pretty good. I think it wouldn't probably change. The forecasting usually is pretty good with these models. Now down the bottom here you can see the model I'm using. It's called ECM-WF. It's a European model, and I found that to be the most accurate, but you can choose any one of these models. So you've got the European model is GFS. That'll change it a bit. There's Icon. I know a lot of people use Icon. Apparently BOM uses Icon. But you can see all of these different models are giving you different forecasts for that area in between Yeppoon and Great Keppel Island. But I like to stick with the European model. I think if anything, the forecasts are usually a little bit greater than what you get, and I'd rather have it that way than the other way around. Don't look for the one that's the best forecast. I think you're better off taking the one that's got the worst forecast and then having better weather in front of you. Okay, so you can put wave and tides onto that as well, so you can load the whole thing up. Wind, there's all of your wind on all of the models there, so you can go through them and have a look at all of that. But I just leave that on basic, otherwise the screen gets a bit too cluttered up. Okay, so that's how we navigate around the weather map, and how we, if you close this and then click somewhere on the map, it'll give you that flag, and that'll tell you what the wind speed and direction is. So at this position here, we've got 14 knots from the east. If we go up a bit further, go up to say the wet Sundays maybe, This is at the Percy Islands. If I click it there, you can see the wind's a bit stronger. It's 19 knots from the southeast and a bit different direction. So by scrolling in and out and clicking on the weather map, that'll give you a bit of an idea what the wind's doing in different places. And using the search bar, you can find different locations and find out what the weather's find out what the weather's doing in that location. Now, if you're subscribed to Windy, the thing that is very good if you're subscribed is being able to plan trips. So if we go up to our hamburger menu again and just go to distance and planning, go up to this, we'll go up to this distance and planning window. Now, what I've got is just a cursor on the screen now. Let's say we were planning a trip from Mackay, so I'll just drop the cursor on Mackay. Okay, that's put one waypoint in, so that's off Mackay. I'll put another waypoint off Cape Townsend. That would be our next waypoint. And then from there, we could travel down to Agnes Water. That would be another waypoint. Then maybe out to the top of Fraser Island, and then down to Moreton Bay. So let's say we were making the trip from Mackay down to Moreton Bay. So now if I scroll out a bit, you can see that we've got a bit of a rough plan of the trip we're going to make. Now we can see here that that's 448 nautical miles, so it's quite a long trip. It's going to take a few days to do that. So it is quite a long trip, but you might be going to do that in a yacht. It's quite feasible that you might be doing that in one jump. You could plan that out. Now, down the bottom of this chart here, right down the bottom, you've got elevation, leave that alone. Car or bike, we're not car or hike, we're not going to do that. We're on a boat, so we're going to click the boat button. That'll bring up a chart with all of your waypoints on it. So there's waypoint 1, there's waypoint 2, there's waypoint 3. And if we drag it across, we go right up to waypoint number 5, which is down into Moreton Bay. Now the other thing we need to do is click the speed button and put what speed we're going to travel at. I've got it set at 5 knots. And that's my boat speed. My average speed is about 5 knots. If you've got another boat, your average speed might be, say, 8 knots. You can adjust that. You can go up and make it 8 knots. If you're in a Riv or a Maritimo, you might be able to do 20 knots. So you can set that at 20 knots and give you an average speed. So do all of that first. The next thing you can do is you can save the route. So if you just click on the little heart there, that'll save that route. Then you can always go back to the menu and upload this route again, so you can play with it down the track. Let's go back and set this back at 5 knots, because that's my average speed is 5 knots. So now on the weather forecast here, we've got this white bar. So if we're starting, well, that's starting there. It's going to take 3 days and 20 hours to travel from Mackay down to Moreton Bay. Now if I move this bar around, it'll change the forecast. It'll show you what the forecast is for that length of trip. So if we sort of started back here, if we have a look at it, so we're starting where we are at the moment. So this is waypoint 1. You can see that if we started from Mackay at this moment, we'd have a northerly wind, a light northerly, about 4 knots. And then when we get to waypoint 2, which would be Cape Townsend, that wind has risen to 10 to 11 knots from the south. So the wind's gone from being a northerly wind to a southerly wind. So if you've had a wind change in here somewhere, and we've gone round to a southerly, and then as we go through to the third waypoint, the southerly gets a bit stronger here. So as we can move this up and down along, you can see where we are on the trip. You can see the, I can't move it up, but you can see as I move along there, you can see us moving along the track up on the chart. So you know where we are, and you can look at the whole way along that track and see what the wind's going to be doing. So you're getting the conditions, so whether it's sunny or cloudy or whatever, you're getting the wind speed and the wind direction at that particular point. So so you'll find that if we were doing that, we're getting a fair bit of southerly there, and it's staying in the south. So if I was heading from there down to Moreton Bay, I'd probably want different weather. If we move this bar along, let's have a look at what there is. So we come up to this area of the forecast here. So if we move that to so if we moved it to Tuesday and left on Tuesday from Mackay, you can see that we've got more favourable winds. So if we're leaving on Tuesday, it's a bit of an easterly. That might help us a bit. It's quite light. There's not really much strong wind there. And then by the time we get to waypoint 2, the wind is starting to go around to the north. So there's waypoint 2 there. By the time we get to waypoint 3, the wind's gone around to the north and we're getting a good lift off it. So we're going to hold the wind from the north from waypoint 3. The problem here is that when we get down to waypoint 4, we're going to get a lot of strong wind from the southeast. So this is quite heavy wind. All of these red areas, they're not what we want. So by the time we got down to the top of Fraser Island, we're going to start getting a little bit of wind, a lot of wind there. So we wouldn't want to be travelling down into this red area. So we'd probably look at getting down into the Sandy Strait and hiding out of that wind until the conditions are better, and then we can make the final leg of the trip down to Moreton Bay. So that's how you can use this weather routing or trip planning part of Windy, and it really is a handy tool to use. So you can really plan your trip, especially if you're doing long ones, and if you're going offshore, you can do that. If we went up here with our trip plan and went to currents, we can get a look at what the currents are doing. So you can see the currents we're going to get as we travel through the trip, and yeah, it's that's also helpful as well. So you can use any of these windows. You can see what the waves are going to be doing at different parts of the trip as we come along. So as we move down the thing, you can see what's going to be going on. So that's trip planning on Windy, very handy to have. Just show you where you go to find that trip plan again. Go up to My Favourites and then scroll down through the trip plans you've put in and pick it out, and there's your trip plan back again. So that's how you get it from the little hamburger menu there. Now I'm using this on my computer, but you can use Windy on an iPhone or an Android phone or on a pad, any sort of pad you can use it. It's a little bit different. You don't have a mouse, of course, but there are controls there. You can do everything I'm doing on a phone or an iPad. So it's pretty handy being able to have it on all of your devices. I hope you've enjoyed that and learned something. If you've got any questions, please make a comment. I'd love you to like the channel and subscribe. It helps it get out there, gets out to more people. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.